All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kristen Kane, and I am the project director for Huio Ko'olau Poko, and you are joining us for our second Saturday education series. And we are wrapping up a year of this series with Tiana joining us today. So it's been a really awesome year of presentations from our staff and our kupu members and other community partners and organizations throughout Ko'olau Poko. You can find all of the recordings from our past sessions and today's session will all be on our YouTube channel, and those will live there. We also are live on Facebook today, so if you're watching us on Facebook, feel free to chat in some questions there, and we'll try to get to those questions and answer those questions at the end of the day or at the end of the recording today. All right, so today we have Tiana joining us. She is a wildlife biologist for DOFAW's Offshore Islands section, and I am going to hand it over to you, Tiana, to do a little more intro about yourself.
Cool, thank you, Kristen. Yep, hi, I'm Tiana. I work for DOFA, which is for the DLNR. So I manage the offshore islands and I do all the seabirds on Oahu. I pretty much got started at the state, so I was like a volunteer at Kure atoll, which is pretty cool. And then from there, just my love of seabirds grew. And then I was an intern with DOFA for the offshore program. And then I worked my way up and now I'm the biologist. So super cool how it just all ties in and working at this program, because I just eventually the atolls are going to be there and those birds will eventually come down to our offshore islands. So it's pretty much what I'm trying to build the offshore islands up to, is to make it as pristine as the atolls up there in the Northwesterns. But yeah, so there's 15 offshore islands on Oahu, and the state manages 14 of them. And what's cool is that majority of them are in Ko'olau Poko. So from Mokuli'i all the way down to Kauikaipu, that's all Ko'olau Poko right there. And then at the top, more north, is Ko'olau Loa. And so up there, we have Mokuauia, and that's pretty much the only island that we actually do habitat restoration and work on, just because the other islands are pretty much just rock outcroppings, and you can't really land there. It's just really tall and high, and there's no vegetation and no birds. It's all just gets washed over kind of thing. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go down the line from the north all the way down to, and just talk about each island specifically and the work that we do out there and stuff. Mokuli'i is actually, so that's Chinaman's Hat, that's actually not owned by the state. So we just do seabird surveys out there. We don't really do a lot of restoration. The city and county actually owns that island. Cool. So yeah, the first one is Mokuauia, or excuse me, people may know it as Goat Island. It's in Malaikahana, so Malaikahana Beach Park campgrounds. It's 300 yards off of that beach. It's about 12 acres, and it's probably the most pristine offshore island. So when we go out there and we do habitat restoration, so we're just pulling out weeds and stuff like that, we usually only come back with maybe 2 gallons of weeds. So it's pretty good. So this photo down here in this corner, this was probably in 2012. So it was before I even started. They were removing bidens, and that was just choking up all the wedgie burrows and stuff like that. And so they actually just removed all of that, hand removed almost all of it, and then just the native seed bank. So now it's all this on this right side, it's all Alena and a kuli, and it just popped up by itself. So that's what's super cool, is they didn't really have to outplant a lot. They just had to get rid of all the bad plants. Another thing that we do management on there is, so we have yellow crazy ants, and yellow crazy ants are these yellow ants that release this formic acid. And so they shoot it on, like they spray it on, it could be on eggs or the chicks or the adults. And so this top one, this is what happens. Like they get deformities, and they get born with like no eyes, or sometimes like they don't have like nostrils, or like their feet is like all messed up, like their web feet and stuff. And it's crazy because like they could spray the egg, and then like this is how they get born. And then, or while the chicks are hatched, they'll like spray it on them, and then they'll like grow into these deformities. But what's sad too is like the adults. So the adults, they'll just abandon their nests because they're just like the ants, they're exactly like their name, they're crazy. So they'll just like crawl all over them, and like they can't handle it. So they just abandon their nest. Like they'll abandon their chick and their egg, and then they'll just fly away. So right now what we're doing is we're controlling it, and we do treatments every 6 months. And so what we do is we do an ant survey, a pre-survey, and basically we have 40 points on the island, and we just collect ants, and then we treat it, and then we go back and we do another survey, and then we just see if like we count the ants, like see how much, if we made like a dent kind of thing. And so we just started treating, I think last year we started doing it. And this season was like the first time that I actually like started seeing birds nesting in like the Naupaka again. And the birds never used to nest in there because that's where the colonies, the ant colonies like to stay. They like to stay in like the woody areas. So like all in like the Naupaka and stuff like that. And so like it was cool because like we just started treating it, and I was like, whoa, I never seen birds like nesting over here before. And now like it's like they're coming back. And I think it's because like they can kind of handle the ants now. Like there's not as many ants out there. So yeah, there's that. And then this top picture, the left one with the albatross. So Mokuaia is really close to James Campbell. And so James Campbell, they were doing Laysan translocations. So Graham was like getting these Laysan albatross from Kauai and then translocating them to James Campbell. So like that's like their home now, James Campbell. And what's cool is that we've never seen any albatross like land on Mokuaia before. And because they're like flying over to James Campbell because that's where they live. So now they like see the offshore island. They're like, oh, what's this place? So I'm like really hoping that they start like nesting there, because that would be super cool. But yeah, so that's Mokuaia.
I have a question about the yellow crazy ants.
Yeah.
I mean, we must have them on the main island.
Oh yeah, so that's probably where they came from. So at the campgrounds, at Malekahana campgrounds, there's like a bunch of them over there. And yeah, so that's what I forgot to mention. Mokuaia is actually open to the public, so people can go and visit there. And it's super close, so there's always visitors just walking across. Yeah.
And does the formic acid have, or like do the ants bite humans, or does the formic acid affect the humans in any way?
No.
It's not
yeah,
a
it doesn't
sting
affect...
or weird.
No, yeah, it's just like a spray. Like it's really weird.
Huh, so strange.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Next island. So we have Kapapa. Yeah, so Kapapa is in Kaneohe Bay. It's about 7 acres. And yeah, it's like right behind Ahulaka, so right behind the sandbar. So it's kind of like it's not difficult to get to, but it gets like really shallow. So when we take the boat out, we're just like, we always have to like plan it well. But I really like this island. This island's cool. On Kapapa, our main habitat restoration is to kind of get rid of all this ironwoods here. A lot of the birds nest in there. But we just want to make it all like native, and we want to put different like naupaka and hopefully Nile. I know we can't plant Nile anymore. I really like Nile, but I know like the boobies, they like to like roost and like sit in those kind of roosting tree bushes and stuff like that. And the boobies nest at Mokapu and they fly over all the time. And so like I'm just like trying to create habitat so that they see this place too and they're like, oh, I think I want to live here too, instead of like where they're doing shooting gunny range or whatever at Mokapu. And so just trying to, all the islands, we just want to like create habitat so that we can expand like the different seabird species and stuff like that. So we actually started removing the ironwood used to actually be over here where my arrow where my arrow is. And so we actually cut like a plot this big, and then all this new green stuff is alpaca, and we like helicoptered in like 200 alpacas and then we outplanted them, and like they're doing good. I have a slide, we'll like check it out and see like the progress in that. Sorry.
And I just want to
Say
clarify, I just want to clarify, you have seabird monitoring and it's the WTSH, so that's the wedge-tail shearwaters, right?
Yes, okay. Correct, yeah. So yeah, all these islands that I'm talking about today, we do shearwater monitoring. So that's basically just population count. So we count like all the fledglings.
And the wedge-tailed shearwaters, for folks that are listening, are ground nesting birds or burrowing birds. So that's a main issue with access to the islands, is that when people go above the high water marks, there's the potential to trample and crush burrows.
Yep. Yeah, on Kapapa, it's pretty cool. Like this island it's pretty stable everywhere. So most of them actually just nest right on the top. So like if you were to visit, you could like just see like all of them. And like this island's also open, anybody can go there and you can like fish and stuff. But I would recommend probably going there at like maybe in May or June, and like that's when all the chicks are there, so they're just like cute little fluff balls and you can just like see all of them sitting at the top. Yeah. Cool. Okay, next island we got is Mokumanu. And so this is also in Kaneohe. It's right off of Mokapu. It's like the farthest island. And Mokumanu is like super sick because they have about more than like 15 different species out there. And so we just started doing this thing with Pacific Rim, and translocating seabirds there. So Pacific Rim would go up to the Northwesterns and they would get the first two species that they tried it on was Bonin petrels and Tristan petrels. And so they would bring them here and they would raise them here in boxes because they like to burrow too. So they raise them in the boxes. And then right before they figured out like when they were gonna fledge, so right before they fledge, we bring them out to this island. We bring them out to Mokumanu and we make like these homes. They made homes for them. And so we put them in there. And then right before they fledge, that's kind of like where they imprint. So ideally, when they come back to nest again, that's where we want them to go. But if they don't come back here, they'll go back to James Campbell, which is cool. Yeah, so it's kind of a win-win. Yeah, this is a cute little naughty over here. Yeah, Mokumanu, all these offshore islands are good because like there's like no predators and like they can just like it's like untouched by people and stuff like that. And so it's really nice out there.
I see the bottom picture on the left has a pretty cool native plant. Do you want to?
Yeah.
I'm a plant person. So will you just talk about I guess talk about the plant that's in that picture maybe? And yeah, we don't see that often. But
No, yeah.
okay, will you tell us about that plant a little bit?
Yeah, so this is Nohu or tribulus, right? Yeah, this plant has like these crazy thorns on them. So it's pretty much only found, I think, on Mokumanu. We actually outplanted some on Kapapa, but it's like when it gets really dry, you can't see it. But when it has like a good rain, like they start to pop up. But yeah, so we have Nohu is like a cool native plant. A lot of the birds like it. They like nesting in it. But like I said, like their thorny like stuff kind of gets stuck in their foot, and it's like not good for them. But they like sitting in it. Like, it's like it's a really cool, nice native.
And how do you access Mokumanu? Because I mean, that's some pretty steep cliffs right there, and
Yeah,
there's a sea cave,
yeah.
and it's one island, or is it two? Because I know like from
It
certain angles it looks like two, but
yeah, it actually is two islands. It's two different
okay.
ones. Yeah, and what's cool about Mokumanu too is like it is actually it's part of like the volcano that like split kind of thing, and so like it's just like the remnants of like the top. I forget what volcano it was, but yeah. I when we go there, actually like Hi'ile them always come with us because they were like the ones like was like get on the island. Like Joby's always just like like checking all the sets, the swells, and he's like, okay, go now. Like that's how we get there. Like we go with them. They're experts over there.
So you're accessing from sea level, from the ground. It's not like you're helicoptering
Yeah,
in, unless maybe.
no,
Okay.
yeah. So we take the boat out, and then like it has to be like a super nice flat day like this. And then like where the arrow is, like that's on this side, this is where we'd access it. On the opposite side, on like that's like facing Mokapu, there's like a beach, and that's like a lot of seals like haul up over there. It's like
Oh wow.
yeah, so they get a lot of seals out there too.
Oh neat.
And so yeah, this picture right here, yeah, so this is Mokapu. So this is like on the opposite side of this huge wall.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, there's like masked boobies that nest there, brown boobies. They have like the grayback terns. There's a bunch of great frigates, Evas like roosting there. So when you get there, like what's cool is like when you're on the boat and you're getting there, you just like see like piles of like birds, and they're just like swarming everywhere, and they'll come and like dive at you, and like it's super cool. It reminds me of Northwesterns. Like it's amazing over there. Okay. Yeah, so our next island is Popoia. It's in Kailua. It's like right off of the right in Kailua Bay by the boat ramp. Um, this is another island that's like pretty much like pristine. Like there's like no weeds on there. And this island is also open to the public. And then this island actually allows commercial like kayaking and stuff like that. So like if you rent a kayak, like you have to pay like a permit fee to land on the island. Yeah, this island's cool. This is the only island that has Mayapilo or Capris, and like this, if you're ever out on this island and you see these like on like the trail or something, like you should smell it because it's like the best smelling flower. It smells like Fruit Loops. Like it's like my favorite. It smells so good, like so sweet. It's so good, and like your seed looks like a pickle. It's like really weird. Yeah, looks like a pickle, and then like it turns like orange like right when it's ripe. But yeah, there's this one. That one's a good one. And then we have Ihi over here, the Portulaca lutea, and this one's only on the trail, and this one's only on Popoia too, which is weird. It's because Popoia is like so open and so close, and so many people go there, and you would just think like a lot of like heavy traffic would like kind of not mess up the island, but like just kind of a lot of disturbance. But there really isn't, and it's kind of a good island because people like see it and they're like, oh, this is what this is here for. and stuff like that. On Popoia, there's actually 2 species of seabirds. So we got the wedge-tailed shearwater, and then we got the boar petrel. And so they both nest on this island. Yeah. Another thing we also do on here, because it's open to the public and there's commercial kayaking, we do this thing called human use surveys. So basically we just like hang out on the island for like 6 hours, and we count every single person that lands. And we document like if it's a local and like what kind of vessel, and then if it's the commercial, like what kayak company they came from, and like how many people were on that boat, and like what permit number, just to like kind of keep them in check and stuff like that. But it's weird, like before, I think it was only like maybe like 100 people were like landing on the island, and now it's like 300 people are like landing on the island, which is crazy.
And you're talking per
But
day?
yeah, per day. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
What, pre-pandemic to current, or during pandemic?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, the islands were actually closed, so there was like nobody out there, and it was like super cool because we would be out there working and like you wouldn't see anybody. And I feel like the birds loved it. Like they're just like sitting everywhere and whatever and stuff like that. But yeah, so like pre-pandemic, it was like around like 100 people or so, and then like now I just feel like everyone's like trying to visit here, and I feel like it's a lot more advertised now. It's like just a lot of people just know, like, and then like this photo right here, like these 2 islands out here, like this is just like go to, everybody just knows, like, oh yeah, Hawaii, Twin Islands. But yeah.
And in that photo with Namokulua, in the foreground, are those the wedge-tail shearwater burrows, the kind of depressions in the
right here? Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, a lot, what's weird is Popoia is like pretty much straight like rock, like straight core rock, and so the birds actually just nest like in crevices and holes and stuff like that, so like caves and stuff. And that's just like the boar petrels. The petrels, they're like pretty tiny birds. I have a photo of them in the next other slides, but they just go in like the tiniest holes they'll just fit in. And so when we do those surveys, this is what they're doing. They're looking for petrels, but we have to look in like every single tiny hole, and we have like a flashlight, and we're just like looking for them, and they're like black, like the birds are just like pitch black. But I mean, when you find them, it's just like, I got one, like everyone's like pretty stoked. Yeah, the population size for the petrels is about, I think there's like 100 of them so far, so it's pretty good. A couple of years back, we had actually like an owl predation, and so like I would go out there and there would just be like 6 petrels just like eviscerated, like only like wings and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my god, there's an owl here. And I'm pretty sure the owl like lives in Hamakua, like yeah. So I think that's where he's coming from. He's either coming from there or maybe at the beach park, but yeah. Cool. Okay, so yeah, so the next island is Mokulua Nui and Mokulua Iki. Nui is open to the public, and then that has commercial kayaking. You can see over here, like this photo is like pretty old, probably like 10 years ago, but nowadays it's just like all of this open space. Like one time we were there, and it's hard. Like there'll be a seal out, and so we have to like block off everything, and then everybody's still landing, and then they just start stacking kayaks on each other and stuff like that. And then during like the winter time, this whole beach actually shifts, so all this sand just like moves because like the north swells and stuff like that. So like this huge beach won't be there, but then people still want to come and land, and there's just like no space. It's a whole nother thing. But yeah, this island, it's cool. there's a lot of invasive grass there, so our habitat management for that is just like slowly trying to like work in plots and like remove the grass and then outplant at the same time. There's actually a lot of birds on this island. I'm not too sure. I have a slide that has numbers on them, but it's cool that people get a chance to see them. Like they come out and visit and they're just like, oh yeah, I see all these birds. Cause like right as you land, there's like a bunch of burrows and you can like see inside them and you can see all the birds. And then it gives them a chance to learn about them and stuff. Iki.
There's some, sorry to interrupt, there's some like educational and interpretive signs on Mokulua Nui, right? When you first land. It's been quite a while since I've been out there, but I do remember some signage and rope also to keep people, hopefully keep people off of the upper areas.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. There's a sign out there and it shows everything like plants and like the birds, like how they nest and the seals and stuff like that. Iki's like these are twin islands, so it's exactly the same as Nui, except that it doesn't really have a beach. It's all rock. So this is like that's why people usually don't land over there, because it's like super rocky. But Iki, it's like the same. Iki actually has a lot of halekoa, which is like really weird because Nui doesn't have it. And Iki also has a couple of ironwood trees like right at the top of like the peak, like right over here, which is also really weird. But we've been controlling it, so it kind of we don't have that much out there. Yeah, and then the last two islands that we do work on is Manana and Kauikaipu. And Manana is huge. It's like 67 acres and Kauikaipu is 11 acres. On Manana, because it's so big, we do like plots for the shearwater surveys, and they're like 2-meter by 50-meter plots, and they go like up this way like that. So there's 4 plots that go up that way. And doing the surveys on Manana, is so stressful. There's so many burrows and there's just like, it's so soft. The ground, like the sand is like so sensitive. And like, if you haven't walked in a seabird colony, like it's just like one little press and then it could like collapse and burrow. And so like when we do the surveys, we're just like on like hands and knees, just like spread out, just like trying not to. So like one plot will take like 1 hour. So I usually get like 3, I do one, and then I get like 3 of like other staff that's like really good and confident in like the seabird habitat, and like we go and do it, and it takes us like all day. Like I always dread doing that one because it's just like so hard and difficult. But yeah, this is another, so this is what's cool. So we got these mass boobies here, and they actually nested on 2019, I think. So somebody at the pier, this is like right by like the Makai Pier, and they do seal surveys from the pier with like a scope. And so like somebody spotted these two. They were like, oh, I think there's mass boobies nesting on Manana. And so like we went there and we're like, holy, they are nesting there, which is super cool because we have no record of them nesting there. And so like this was like the first pair, and they fledged, and so it was like a successful nest, but then we haven't seen any of them come back. One thing about Manana too is that there's a huge crater in the inside over there. So it's really weird. I mean, this is like, it's a volcano too. So I mean, yeah, it's just like, it's really weird to just go in there and see, and then there's just like all these birds. And like on the backside of that crater, there's I'm not sure if they're nesting there, but I've seen them roosting there, is red-tailed tropic birds. So you'll see like a bunch of them behind on the backside of that crater over there. On Kaui Kaipu, there's also boer petrels that nest there, but because of like owl predation, the colony isn't that successful. This island, we do a full island survey, so we try to count every single burrow on that island. So it takes a long time too. It's like all day to access this island. I think it's fun, but it's like kind of weird and sketchy because it's the same thing too. Like we come in on the boat, we get dropped off, and there's like this rock that's like over here, and we have to like watch the sets with our bag. Okay, hurry up and go and climb up. And so it's cool. The marine life in here is like so pristine and nice. It's so beautiful over there. This is like another cool island.
And are both of those closed to the public?
Yes, yeah. Both of those are close to the public. So the only islands that are open is Mokulua Nui, Popoia, Kapapa, and Mokuawia. And then only Popoia and Nui are the two islands that can actually have commercial landing.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, this is some of our habitat restoration. So these 4 photos here, this is that area I was talking about on Kapapa. So we cut down a plot of ironwoods. So they clear cut it to the bottom, and then we herbicide it. And then we helicoptered in all these alpacas. So this was in 2018. And then, yeah, this is 2019. And then this is what it looks like now. So it's pretty cool. When it was just ironwoods, there wasn't that many birds. I think there was like, we surveyed 6 birds. And then now we have like 13 birds nesting in there. So hopefully they just keep getting more and more. Yeah, we have a couple of ohais in here too. And then these 2 photos on the right is Iki. So you can see how it's just like all rocky. Like it's like this around the entire island. But yeah, so this is all invasive, except for this. This is not nail. But all these grasses, and then there's like bidens and stuff like that. But we just removed all of it, and then like the Alena and the Kuli just started popping back up, and then we outplanted these Naupacas. This was 2019 when we did this. And here's some Norno out here. Yeah, this was here. We didn't even outplant this. So that was cool that they just came back. And these are all the burrows. So I definitely like it better now because there was no burrows in here. Like they couldn't walk around or like get through anything, and now they can like actually like dig holes and stuff.
When the birds come in for a landing, are they like trying to land right in front of their burrow, or do they need a separate area that's open, like landing strip, and then they waddle on over to their burrow? Or is that part of the reasoning behind like clearing such big areas so they can land right at their doorstep?
Yeah, definitely. Like they won't land right at their doorstep, but like in that general area. And so, yeah, we like to, like all this stuff would just like choke them out, and they wouldn't be able to like walk or anything like that. And then like this lower ground cover, and we like the native plants better because they just like, they can handle like the sea spray and stuff like that. Like all this stuff would like die back, and then it would just be soft, and it'll just like, when it rains, it'll just all erode and like wash into the ocean. And like with this, like it just holds sand and soil way better.
Let's take a quick pause, see if there's any questions from anyone that's joining us on the Zoom. If you have a question, feel free to come off of mute or chat into the chat box. Don't be shy, just interrupt like I have been. People are saying, learning so much, no questions yet. Okay,
Cool.
I'll let you keep going.
All right. So these are like the most common invasive species, non-native species that we have on the offshore islands. You got like Chinese violet and sonkus and bidens. Bidens and sonkus, they have like, and sancris over here, this grass, or I don't know, maybe some people would know it as like cuckoos or something, but they just stick everywhere. Like these seeds are like the worst. So like every time, the thing about the offshore islands too is like I was mentioning Mokuauia and Popuia, like they're pretty like pristine, like there's no there's not that many weeds out there. So when I go and I work on like the other islands, so like Nui has a lot of sonkus, and so like if I was to work on Nui and like I bring my pack out there, like I definitely have to like quarantine my pack before I go to like another island and stuff like that. But yeah, Sancris is probably like my nemesis. I'm just trying to like on Nui, this is like everywhere, and it's just so hard to like control. And like I don't really like to spray on the offshore islands. Like I actually really don't spray. Everything we do is like pretty much manual. So like we just hand pull everything, and like Sancris just sucks.
Yeah, it's not fun if you just get one on your pants as you're walking through, but then when you think about having to hand pull and remove it, that's like leather glove work.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know.
And the Bidens, I'm sure a bunch of people have come in contact with this one before. It's just such a tiny little seed with two little wings on top that will grab onto everything. And if you walk past a Bidens that's seeding, you'll have 20, 30
Everywhere.
or more seeds everywhere. And they're so tiny, they'll stay on your clothes even through a washing machine cycle and a dryer cycle. So I can imagine your decontamination protocols between some of those islands are pretty serious.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. These plants, find them on the side of the sidewalk. Like they're just like everywhere on Oahu. And then yeah, these are the native plants that we like to outplant out there. A lot of these plants are picked for specifically like for habitat. We've noticed that like the birds kind of like these plants, they like to sit in it, and like they like to like Kavelu and like Pili, like they for islands that like don't have burrows, they like these grasses just get long, and then they kind of make like a covering for them kind of thing. And so they like to like crawl under that and stuff like that. And the natives are just so much prettier.
That Ojai, the color on that Ojai leaf or the Ojai flower is so vibrant. We have some Ojai that grow at our Kaha Garden project at Kainui Neighborhood Park and also at Heia State Park, and they're a really light kind of salmony color pink, but that one, that magenta, is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, and it smells so sweet. Like it, I would never think that you like would smell that one because it just like looks weird, but like I smell it all the time and it's like so good.
And it's more of like the leaves that actually have the scent to it.
Yeah.
And I love working around it on a hot day because you can just smell it like waft by in the breeze. And I haven't worked around my Apilo enough to know that scent, but I'm so curious now.
Yeah, I think there's some on like Makapu'u, like on like that cliffside. Yeah, I think there's some over there. But yeah, the next time you're out at Popoia, they're like all on the trail and like it's so good.
It's so funny, as someone that was born and raised in Ko'olaupoko, I've only been on to Popoia one time. And I don't know why, you know, I don't really know why that is. Mokunui, yeah, we used to go there all the time. I haven't been in a long time, but something about Popoia, I don't know, it was just like we didn't go there. But
yeah,
when I did get to go, we went out and we got to do some invasive species removal work and look around a bit. So that was a fun experience. I would definitely go back.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
So yeah, these are the two main, well, actually the uaukani or the shearwaters on this side. These are like the main birds that are on offshore islands. And then the Boris petrel is on Popoia and Kauhi. And so these are the two birds that we pretty much do surveys for. So this chart, oh, this is like a video. Cool video. This chart shows like their breeding and migration and stuff. So from December, it's not like super accurate. But yeah, from pretty much December through like the beginning of March, the birds are out and they're like migrating. And then in March, the adults start coming in and then they start like getting to their burrow and like digging their holes and stuff like that. And then in June, that's when they start laying eggs. And then July, that's when we start July, August, we start having chicks. And then in November, that's when they start to fledge. So that whole time, like after after the chicks fledge, they usually come back maybe like when they're around 5 years old, they come back. But that whole time that they're not here, they're just like flying around like in the Pacific, which is like crazy to think. But it's also the same with like albatross and stuff. Like they don't come back right away. They come back, they're like not mature, but they're ready to breed at around like 5 years old.
That video is just too cute.
Yeah, so if you like howl at them, like how they howl, then they'll like kind of like be attracted to you and like start coming by you. And then if you howl at them, they'll howl back at you.
Do you have their sound at all?
So in this video, you can hear me, and then I think they're also.
I can't hear it on our end, but I think that might be a screen share issue when you share. But that's okay. I have the wedge-tail shearwater sound pulled up on my end, and I'll just play it really quickly.
Yeah.
So odd.
Yeah, it's so weird. So some of these birds, like in Kailua, they're like nesting in like people's houses, and like some of the neighbors are just like, oh, I hate the way that they sound, because they just howl all night. Like it's just 24 like all night, and they're just like, I can't handle
sounds like
this.
a crying baby.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
Very strange, but oh my gosh, that video is just, so you're just laying on the ground like talking to them and howling at them, and they come.
Yeah.
It's so amazing that they leave for so long, and not a whole lot is really known about where they go. or are they like making pit stops in the Northwestern Hawaiian Islands?
Yeah, so they we had a bunch of researchers, like this is before I started, so in like I think like 2010 or something, but they put like trackers on them, and I guess their pattern, they like went all the way up north to, where was that? Like I think like near Washington and stuff, and they came all the way down to like Chile, and then it
Wow.
came like they came back, yeah, and they were like coming back to Oahu. But it's crazy because like that map was just like, it's just like a huge circle. Yeah.
Wow. Because these birds can't, they're not gonna like land and float in the water and be able to take off again. Like,
Oh, they
like
can.
so they
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. So they have like these web feet, and some of them just like sit in the water, and then
Mm.
like, so they can take off whenever they want.
Because some of the birds are not able to do that, right?
Mm-mm. Yeah. Like the Evas, if the
Mhm.
Evas were to land in the water, they wouldn't be able to take off. Yeah. But yeah, most of them, I think most of them with web feet, they can like run on the water. So like that gives them like the advantage to like take off. So yeah, this is a wedgie survey. So on Mokuauia and on Popoia, we have plots that come down the middle of the island, and they're 4-meter plots. And then so we count all the birds in that plot, and then we have like a formula, and then that kind of just like gives us an estimate of how many birds are on the island. So Popoia and Mokuauia are circular plots, and then Manana and Nui and Iki are rectangle plots. And then Nui and Iki's plots, they're actually on they contour the island on the shoreline. And we did that because Nui is open to like the public, and so we kind of just wanted to measure like what the population use would be there, because like it's like really crowded. And then we kind of compare it to Iki because nobody goes on Iki, and so it kind of like copies the same contour of the island. And Iki has more birds than Nui, so it's, I get say that like because people are visiting, that's why there's less birds. But yeah, so when we do a survey, it's really weird because like I have to tell people to like put their hand inside of a hole and like you feel it. So basically that's what they're doing, is just like you go, you see a burrow, and then you have to stick your hand inside and then feel around, and if they're like, okay, there's a chicken there. And like every time, like I've done these surveys so many times, and I still get like, oh, I still get scared. Like I'm just like, I don't know what's in it, when I do know that like it's just a bird in there. And then sometimes there's like an adult, and the adult will like bite you. Like I used to have, like you would get scars on your hands, like just because like I mean, obviously like you're sticking your hand in their home, and so like they're gonna like bite back. But so yeah, this top one is Koi Kaipu, and so it's a full-line survey. We have like a really big group when we do that. It's probably like 10 to 12 people. And so what we do is like we line up on one side of the island, and then we stand in a line, and then we just sweep across to like the other side, and then we flip on this inside person. So this person is kind of basically walking back on their same line. And then so everybody checks a burrow. And after you check a burrow, you put like a little piece of paper in it. And that's just so that you're like telling your neighbor like, oh, I already checked this hole, so you don't have to check it, and nothing gets double counted. This is Kapapa, and so same thing on Kapapa. If you remember that slide of like that aerial shot, so what we do is we do the outside, and so that's just like all rocky. So it's kind of like popoia where they just like go underneath rocks and they nest under there. So we count all of that on the outside, and then we count everything under the ironwoods. So here's some numbers. This is a graph. There's this cute chick. So yeah, this is at Kapapa. So if you go there like around that time, I told you guys, you'll just see all of them just like sitting on the ground like this. And then this is at Popoia. So a group of adult wedgies just like sitting like this is actually called clubbing. So we're always just like, they're at the club now.
I've never seen a photo like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, if you go to Popoia, like right on that backside, they all just sit in the akuli kuli like this. Huh. And so like sometimes like, there's
like midday or a certain like, time of day.
No, they're there like all day. If it's really windy, they'll like, that's where they like to like take off and stuff. And so, and then if it's windy, like they usually won't be there because they'll want to be flying. But yeah, next time you go to Popoia, during the nesting season.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are 8 of the islands that we do surveys. So we do surveys on Mokuli'i, just to like keep track of like the population out there. But this is like the estimate population. This is Manana. Obviously, there's like 30,000 birds there, supposedly.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many surveys a year do you guys do on each island?
Yeah, so we only do 1 survey a year. So it's just an annual, yeah, like right before the wedgies are about to fledge. So we're gonna do a survey in the beginning of October.
Okay.
Probably like the first 2 weeks or something. On Popoia, we do 2 surveys because we do one for the petros, and then the other one is for the wedgies. So yeah, this is like our kupu. We have like a kupu group come out, and they're just like digging in every single hole looking for those birds.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. These birds are cute. Here. This is the petro. This is what they look like. Yeah, so they don't build a nest or anything. They just like, this is in one of the crevices. Like my hand barely fit in there to take a photo of him. But they're like super black, and their sound is like kind of like a bark. It's like a ooh, ooh, ooh. It's like that. It's really weird. But them too, like if you call out to them, they'll like respond and call back to you. And then these are the other birds that we have on Oahu. These are probably like the most common ones that you'll see. The tropic bird, who's like kind of pink. She's like pink like this, is because she's like about to lay an egg. So they turn pinkish when they're gonna start nesting. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
That little tern picture is,
yeah.
You got a lot of cute pictures.
Yeah. Yep.
And the tropic birds, you can see them along like
by like
Sandy Beach. Yeah, along that area. Yeah, so it's cool, like when you're driving, you'll see them. And tropic birds are cool when they're like courting. It's because they'll like fly backwards and stuff. So like that's super cool. I like that. Yeah, tropic birds are like probably like one of my favorites. And is this the red-tailed tropic bird? This is a white-tailed tropic bird.
This is red-tailed tropic bird. I don't think we have any whitetails that nest here. I think a lot of them are like on Kauai. So like you'll see like whitetails probably like on the north side by like Kaena Point. I've seen a couple over there. So yeah, this is like other stuff that we do besides habitat restoration and like the fun stuff. This is at Mokuawea. It's huge net ball, just like washed up. And then we do sign and symbolic fence maintenance and stuff. Then here's shorebirds that you'll see on the offshore islands. You'll probably see them like at all the beaches too, but yeah. So like another thing that we do is seabird fallout. And so this is in like November is like the peak of fallout. Basically fallout is when all the wedgies are learning how to fly. All these teenagers are like up in the air, and then like they just like either get disorientated from like the lights, or they're just young and they don't know how to fly yet. And so a lot of them, when they fall out, they're just like dehydrated, or they're just tired. Like they're not really like injured or anything. They're just like blown off track. And so what we do is we pick them up, or some people like pick them up and like we always take them to Feather and Fur. Feather and Fur will take them in Kailua, and so like they'll hydrate them and make sure they check them out, and then if they're good, then we'll come and do like another exam, and then we'll release them. But so these, like on this map, the reds are locations where birds were found. The red is like more than 20 of the birds were more than 20 birds were found in that area. But like as you can see, like this is like where all the offshore islands are. So definitely a lot of fallout in these areas. This map is, so this is like moon coverage. So this is full moon, and then this is new moon. So obviously when there's like no moon, the birds are looking at all the lights or using the lights. So the birds use the moon to guide at night. So that's how they fly and stuff like that. But so like before like 2020 and 2019, we never used to have any help, and now we get tons of help from HMAR and the Hawaii Wildlife Center out in the Big Island. And what's cool is they send like a staff member here, and like they come and help us, and basically their staff, like Alexis, she's like, she kills it because she just spends all day like picking up birds and like hydrating them and making sure they're all good. And like if the birds have to get rehab, we send them to the wildlife center, and then they'll rehab them, and then they'll release them from there. Last year it was really crazy. I think like in one day we got like at least 60 birds, I think. And so we were just like at like, and a lot of them, like I was saying, like a lot of them are just like blown off track, and they don't really need like any medical assistance or anything. And so we just check them out, we examine them. So like this is what this photo is. We're at Feather and Fur, and so we call this the ice cream hold. It's like a ice cream. But yeah, so you see how like they're fuzzy like that. Like down here he still has like a lot of down and stuff like that. So they're just like, they're still learning. We would probably release him just because like, so his eyes look good, and then like we do this thing where like we hold them and then they flap their wings, and so like they kind of like, we kind of like see like how strong their flaps are and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll like release them at like Kailua Beach, and we'll have like 20 of them or something, and everyone's just like, oh, like crazy. Yeah, we try to always pick beaches that there's nobody there, but just like sometimes we can't help it. Like if we have too many birds, like we're not gonna like haul all 20 of them down like a super long beach access or something like that. Like just easier if it's close, like at the boat ramp. But it's also a good opportunity to like engage with the community and like tell them like what's going on, because they're like, why do you have all these birds? And we're like, oh, it's fallout season, and just like kind of educate them.
So we have a couple of questions. I guess first thing, talking about seabird fallout, would be who or like what numbers could we call, what places could we look up if we're starting to see the seabirds, because that time of year is coming up. So who can we contact if we're finding birds? And between, you know, someone finding a bird and it being picked up or dropped off at a proper location, how should we contain it?
Yeah. So if you find a bird and like you are confident enough to like handle it and stuff like that, like we always tell people, so let me start at the website, on our DOFAW website, we have like instructions on like, if you find a seabird or a down bird, like, does it look like this? Does it, just to make sure like you have like the right bird and stuff. And then it actually tells you how you should approach the bird. Like you should have like a box, a closed box, like something with like a lid, but it's also just like, so that they can breathe, make sure it's like good ventilated. And then, so what you want to do is if you're approaching a down bird, like if you're driving on the road and you see them like in the middle of the road or something like that, like, and you want to like get them, you would like get like a towel or like a soft like t-shirt or something, and you'd want to like put it over them and then scoop them up that way, and then you put them in a box. And if you're able to, dropping them off, like if you're on the east side, dropping them off at Feather and Fur is the best. On the other, around the island, there's drop-off locations, and on the website it tells you where these drop-off locations are. Up on the North Shore side, it's James Campbell. And then if you're like in town, you can also take the birds to like the Humane Society and stuff like that. But if you're not able to take the bird to a drop-off location, just calling like the DOFAW office, so calling us, will come and like try and send staff. And then if we're not available, you can also call the Hawaii Wildlife Center. They also can dispatch response to help people, and HMAR is another good one. So the Hawaii Marine Animal Response, they help a lot with transportation. So they'll come and pick up birds where you are. And all of our birds get sent to Feather and Fur. So yeah, like wherever, they all end up at Feather and Fur. So like, yeah, if you're on like on the east side, like the best thing you can do is take them to Feather and Fur. And for folks listening, Feather and Fur is in Aikahi Shopping Center, the backside of the center. It's a vet clinic. And then another question that we had come in was, would you do the same type of rehab for birds that are affected by yellow crazy ants? No, we don't do any rehab for those birds. We kind of just let like nature take its course kind of thing, because it's a lot of it. Not that there's a lot of birds that are affected by it, but I mean, we can't, it's not that we can't save them all, because some of them do survive, but we don't want to really like intervene and take like, if we take one, we'd have to take like every single one of them. And the best thing for us to do is just to try to control like the predators on the island, control the ants first. Because the yellow crazy ants, it's more of a deformity than just a temporary illness. Yeah, right. Definitely. Yeah. Awesome. So I think Lane's gonna look for the links. Oh, okay. I see you have the website there for the DLNR DOFAW page. So that would be where folks can find all those descriptions about kind of what to do. And I guess if you see a bird in a certain place, like if it's in the road, yes, help it. If it's on the beach, it's probably just taking a break, and it'll be on its way. And some other contact places. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiana, for your time. I love seeing the photos. Are you guys hosting any volunteer opportunities right now? Not right now, but if we do have anything, we'd probably put it up on like the website or on the IG.
Okay.
Definitely find some of that. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I can shoot you like an email to like post something.
yeah, we're always happy to share. If you're looking for volunteers, we're happy to share. And our staff and myself would love to join you guys as
Yeah, for
well.
sure.
Seems like a super cool day. Lane's like, yes, we'll go out. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I'll give a second for anyone to pop in and ask questions. I'll check back in on the Facebook later and see if there's any questions coming in there as well. But thank you so much for your time today, Tiana. That was really awesome to see the photos.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Virtual. We'll cut you out to those islands.
Yeah.
Awesome. So our recording from today's session will be on YouTube within the next week. And we are always happy to entertain questions via email if you guys think of anything else you'd like to ask. But that's all for me today. So thank you guys so much for joining us, to the public that joined us on our Zoom and on the Facebook today. For the folks that joined us, thank you. And you can check out our past recordings on our YouTube link. Lane posted that link earlier as well. So wonderful. Mahalo, everybody. Mahalo.
Bye.